The Special Investigating Unit Special Tribunal is ready to go after those responsible for looting state coffers. The tribunal has received the first batch of cases to commence the civil proceedings against, obviously when it comes to life esidimeni, those that have been charged with it. This will also include the cases related to the very same life esidimeni. So the spokesperson, Selby Makgotho, is in the studio. He joins us now about the scope of the tribunal and exactly where they're going to get that 5.5 million rand from. Selby, thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon. Where are you going to get this 5.5 million rand?
Good afternoon, Faith, and good afternoon to the viewers. We have issued the summons against the NPOs that were involved in the life esidimeni saga. In terms of the scope of the tribunal, ours is a civil recovery mechanism, litigation. Once the SIU investigates, the tribunal comes in and adjudicates, specifically on civil litigation. So the first cases that we have received mainly relate to life esidimeni, and it is quite apparent from the files that there has been irregularities, there has been malpractices, incidents of corruption in the main. So what we have done was to issue them with summons. The sheriff has been instructed to issue them with summons, and we are at a point where we are just waiting for the return of service. And that is where now the matter can, once the documents have been exchanged, up until the stage where the pleadings close, then the matter can be placed on the roll. And once the matter is on the roll, then parties will come in. The SIU and the Department of Health will come in as plaintiffs, and these NPOs will come in as defendants, where in each party will be given an opportunity to come and cite their story or their side of the case before the tribunal, which is constituted mainly of the 8 judges. So that is how the procedure is going to unfold.
But what happens when they come to, and as they defendants, right, and they come to the platform and they say, actually, guys, we cannot afford to. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because as we're doing an entire investigative piece and cases that we've seen publicly about some of those very NGOs, one wonders how they will even be able to afford this. So if they come to and they say, guys, I'm sorry, we just simply cannot afford this, what happens then?
The Special Tribunal Act has been strengthened, in fact, and it has, in terms of the powers and the authority of the tribunal, it can grant judgments and orders almost similar to those that can be granted in any high court in South Africa. We are in a position, actually, as the tribunal to issue attachment orders where there is a need, forfeiture orders, restraint orders, and where there is a need to interdict, we will be able to do so. There will be instances, for instance, where there are interlocutory orders that need to be granted, as well as suspension orders and also attachment orders. So there is no way in which once the plaintiff comes and says, this is our argument, this is the point of departure, there is no way in which we will allow a situation where people can just come and just give some clumsy excuse. Well, the tribunal is going to act impartially and fairly to every other person. No one is going to be gunned by the tribunal, but ours is to recover. So we need not
When
deviate.
you recover, where does the money go?
Well, this is the taxpayers' money. The money has been taken unlawfully from the taxpayer. So the money is going back to the taxpayer. That is actually essentially what is going to happen. Because it was taken, and our understanding is that it was meant for other key projects within the government. So once you have taken that money, obviously the government, other processes will have to come in, but that is taxpayers' money that we are in the process of recovery.
Help me with understand what the other processes that come in, because let's have a frank conversation here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this is only dealing with the symptoms of this, right? So we've got the cough and the flu, etc., which are symptoms of the illness in itself. And the illness in itself is the fact that we have these NGOs that, number one, many of them were not even qualified. They didn't even meet regular, just normal qualifications to actually have to have the individuals that they had within their care in the South. Number two, these are individuals that overcharged the Department of Health for services rendered. Some of them were not even registered. I understand recuperating the money part, but there was a whole lot of issues there, including the criminality involved in it. So where does the accountability lie? Once you've recouped the money, are they then going to be able to be accountable? Because many lives were lost as a result of such.
Yeah, well, this is actually one of the painful tragedies of our time. The SIU, in its normal course of conducting investigations, especially the civil proceedings, would often come across cases where there is an element of criminality is involved. So what they would do in such cases, they will involve other criminal bodies and for prosecution in a criminal aspect, and in such cases will be referred to, like for instance, the National Prosecuting Authority for further criminal prosecutions. Like you say, in terms of the money that the lives that have been lost, a proper investigation has been done by the commission that was led by Justice Moseneke. Justice Moseneke made findings, made recommendations that were given to the Gauteng Provincial Premier, who has since then forwarded that to the SIU. Proper investigations have been done, and one of the questions that would confront us on a daily basis, especially after we issued the first summons, was that there were so many parties that were involved, and the NPOs obviously were not working alone. They were in
somebody
cahoots.
Signed off.
Correct.
Within the very same department,
yes,
for them to even have the patients that they had. Where are those people? When are they going to be accountable?
Well, there are parallel processes here. I will try to explain them in this way. These people, the point that I was trying to drive home was that these NPOs were working in cahoots. Say, for instance, we had a situation where one claim, for instance, amounted to 2.8 million. And when we checked, we found that this was actually overzealous. I mean, it was just a serious overreach, where people just did as they wish. They were just doing willy-nilly. So the center did not hold. And obviously there will be consequences. But then from where we are coming from, I am of the view that much as I might not necessarily speak for the SIU itself, but certain matters have been referred to the NPA for criminal prosecution. Our scope, the Act actually gives us the mandate to recover, to recoup the money, including from those officials who might be involved here. And maybe I should just also hasten to indicate another fact, that it doesn't mean that because the SIU, for instance, or in particular the Department of Health in the current dispute, happens to be part of the plaintiff, obviously it means they are free. No, it is not going to work like that. All the parties will be given a fair chance, and where there is a need to further to call witnesses or even subpoena some of the documents for scrutiny, or any other recordings that perhaps will assist the tribunal in the execution of its duties, such orders will be made, and indeed those witnesses who, in our view, we believe are relevant for the purpose of will assist in terms of settling whatever dispute. Such provisions will be made. So it's not, there's no one who is going to escape here.
Including government officials and including those individuals that are within the department that signed off on them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to leave it there for this afternoon, but thanks for joining us and shedding some light. I know we'll be following up closely on that story in itself.
Thank you very much.